I was finally able to sit down, open my editor, start a project, and finish it without procrastinating. And no, it wasn't discipline. I found a way to hack my dopamine. You know that feeling you get, right? When you have a new app idea and you just want to sit down and grind it out, but never seem to get to? That was me for a couple of months now. I had this great idea which I was going to build. Basically, it's a great idea in my mind, but it's an awesome app that I was going to build, share it with you guys, and then, yeah, just have the money rolling in. But for some weird reason, every time when I sat down at my PC, I would find myself either on YouTube or just doom scrolling on social media, basically doing everything except getting started. I used to think it was a lack of motivation, or maybe I was just lazy, but it turns out it was none of that. It was my dopamine. So, dopamine is basically a chemical in your brain that makes you excited about doing something. It doesn't really bring you joy or happiness, but it's more anticipating on what could be. For an example, when you get a notification on your phone, you basically anticipate either joy or sadness, but depending who the message is from, whether social media, but it's an email, but you're anticipating, and that triggers a dopamine chemical reaction in your brain, and that actually gets you to do the thing. It makes you excited to actually open your phone to read the message, and that's the chemical which I hacked in order to help me build my application. So my problem was I was getting this dopamine hit basically from social media and not coding, not actually building stuff. So whenever I sat down and wanted to build something, it felt more boring than actually exciting. And that's why every time I sat down, I found myself procrastinating because I didn't get the dopamine hit, which I would get from scrolling on YouTube or social media. And it was much easier for me to fall back into this habit of just picking up my phone and doom scrolling for hours. And that's what I needed to change. And that's when it clicked. If I can get dopamine from distractions, I could get dopamine from progress. I just needed to find a way to switch this around. So I looked online, and everywhere I looked, it was dopamine detox this way, dopamine detox that way. And honestly, that was boring and miserable. So I created my own dopamine routine where I will just switch these two roles around. Instead of finding dopamine in social media and doom scrolling, I was going to get myself to get dopamine hits from progress. During the day, what I would do is I would set a timer, like a Pomodoro timer, which then I would set 50 minutes out for myself just to sit down and code with no distractions. This could be my day job while I'm working, or even while working on my side project. I just sit down for 50 minutes straight. I am head in the code and I am knocking it out. After that 50 minutes, I would then give myself 5-minute pleasure. So I would reward myself either with a cup of coffee, or I would go on social media for like 5 minutes, or I'll watch a YouTube video for 5 minutes. But what I'm doing is I'm creating a reward system in my brain where if I sit down for 50 minutes to an hour getting stuff done, getting progress, I get this reward. And so I get a dopamine hit if I complete this 50-minute work or this 50-minute progress in my application. And by making this minor adjustments day in, day out, a few weeks in, I actually find myself craving progress instead of the reward. So my mind would then go to the 50 minutes like, hey, let's do this for 50 minutes to an hour straight so that we can get the reward, and not the other way around. We, in the old time, I would crave for the reward first and kind of want to reward myself with progress, which just never worked, because then I would doom scroll for 50 minutes straight on social media and not get anything done with my application. But now with these roles are reversed, I can actually now, my brain wants me to sit down for 50 minutes. It wants me to code for 50 minutes to an hour so that it can get that 5-minute reward. For me, this is progress. And within a few weeks, I've noticed something wild. I didn't have to force myself to follow this routine anymore. My brain actually wanted to work. It started associating dopamine hits with completing projects, with coding. And that's basically how I got started. It's not that I suddenly got more motivated or disciplined, it's that I started managing my dopamine hits instead of chasing motivation. So if you find yourself stuck in this loop of scroll, heal, repeat, you're not broken. You're just wired for quick rewards. And it's time for you just to change your reward system. If you do that, I guarantee that you would start completing projects instead of leaving them halfway. If you want to see how I set up my dopamine guide step by step that actually worked for me and go into deep detail in it, make sure to click this video and see you there.